Yeah,
probably. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. When we last left off, the party continued their adventures in the city of Edict, wandering the underground cyberpunk city of elves that have betrayed the Gyogran territories and formed a new land for themselves. The party brokered a deal with the brokers, a influential cult of information dealers who, using clever use of favor trade and microfilament cameras to film the goings-on of the continent above, completing a favor for these dealers. The party traveled through a mysterious research facility built a while ago by their enemies, who, while the enemies themselves were nowhere to be found, the party did manage to find a relatively well put together Ichor Beast that managed to maintain some degree of its intelligence and sentience, much like the party themselves. Returning said Ichor Beast to Edict, and some further party infighting, the party managed to get the brokers to hold up their end of the bargain, each party member, sans Raccoon, getting a question answered, aside from Caro, who, in their selflessness, needed no information, but received a gift from the grateful information dealers nonetheless. The party has now brokered a deal with the Mother, the Lamia leader of the family, one of the many underground syndicates of the city, and in exchange for access to her legendary supply of weaponry and armaments, the party has agreed to do a favor for the Mother. In exchange for her information and assistance in getting them to the Ergos Republic, the party will be given free reign and ammunition to go up against the president of the Ergos Republic, the young dark elf girl who the party will recall as being a member of the Scar Concord. So, let's dive into it. As you guys conclude your deal with the Mother, the disco music, flashing lights, and dancing bar-going patrons around you. As you all approach the conclusion of your deal, the coils wrapped around the table begin to slowly loosen and retract towards her. The stinger tip of her tail augmented in place of whatever it once ended in originally. The Mother gives a polite, seemingly friendly smile. When can I expect you all back to receive my end of the bargain?
I'd say in the morning.
Matthew, would it actually be possible to get all the way to the Ergos Republic and back in that time?
In a day? No.
Please.
How long would it take?
You've seen the map. Make me a history check. Or actually, I'll call this a survival check, since you're trying to
survival.
determine.
Let's see how we do with that. +1.
Could I help?
14.
Make that survival check with advantage. So go ahead and roll again.
13. So 14's the highest.
Lucian and Caleb, both of you more or less approach the same conclusion. You know that there is a lake between where you are in the Kingdom of Sundragon and the city and the capital city of the Ergos Republic. Now, traveling underground may, if you choose to do so, may speed that trip along, but the trip around the lake would, at the most, only add 2 days to your trip. in general, you both imagine you're probably, depending on the exact route you take, looking at something in the ballpark of about 5 days of travel, possibly 6, if you decide to cut around the Summersea Forest rather than risk going through it.
Could you possibly find it in your heart to give us 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Because that way it could give us wiggle room to give us time to find your shipments. Perhaps even, if we can, maybe bring it to you. If we can, of course.
Well, that wasn't part of our deal, though. You remember our deal? All we needed to do.
And weren't they? Wasn't she going to let us have the supplies before we even left?
You're echoing.
To help us.
Yeah, Amanda, push to talk. Love.
Path.
So sorry. One more time, Jeremy.
Wasn't the mother going to let us get the supplies before we left?
Yeah. She's basically saying, like, yeah, when can she expect you to come pick up the supplies and then make the trip from there? Because she basically made it clear she's willing to trust you to receive the items as assistance for completing the job, and that's your payment.
Yeah.
But she will be very unhappy and retaliate if you decide to cut and run and take the items she gave you with her.
Basically, if we take these items, it's a done deal. Official, we are working for her right now.
So she's asking, when are we gonna collect items?
Yes.
Yeah, basically, when are you gonna? When can she expect you to come around and pick up what she's offering you?
Pretty much.
Okay, then yeah, in the morning would make sense. I thought it was like, how long is this gonna take y'all to get back?
No, we planned on not coming back.
Okay, so definitely in the morning.
Very well. I'll have to have my people move a bit faster, but she gives a smile and opens her arms. I try to deal only in the best, and the best tends to be fast if you know what you're doing. Very well. Feel free to come back to the Free Flow Lounge in the morning, and I'll make sure my people are ready with a few of what I think you all would be interested in. And she her eyes kind of rake over each of you. And she gives a smile. And Officer Neon, feel free to use the card I gave you to stay at any of the hotels in the area. You know, as a peacekeeper, where my influence tapers off, and she kind of pauses, and while with her coils retracted to her, she can't run her stinger over any of your bodies. Her long nails tap on the table with a equal amount of menace as she gives a polite-looking smile. I imagine you all know it would look rather unprofessional to be staying within any of my rivals' territories while you're working for me.
Understood.
Of course.
Generous of you.
Well, unsure about that.
She flashes you a smile, Zephyr. Ever the opportunist. Well, I suppose you can try your luck and see if any of your friends outside of my territory can protect you.
I will be just fine on my own.
She gives a smile. Well, I suppose it would be inaccurate to say I'm not the boss of you, but you're free to make your own decisions to a certain degree. Just be back here in the morning, and I think you'll like what I have to offer you.
I hope so.
Chauffeur, would you please show them the way out? And the the elven man with the cigar, who had arrived as the meeting concluded, gives a kind of somewhat small, humble nod, and she gives a smile and, well, I suppose I'll see you all in the morning. She gives a bow and begins to return to her personal quarters, heading up through that little trap door that had opened as her coils begin the somewhat lengthy process of retracting up after her. The organic yellow, slightly blotched pattern, followed by the soulless mechanical augmentation, and finally the bladed stinger as the trapdoor shuts. The chauffeur kind of clears his throat. Right. Follow me. I suppose you all have your own destinations in mind, so I'll just drop you off outside of the club.
That would be
Officer
appreciated.
Neon is the one with the card.
Of course. Follow me, follow me. And with a wave of his arm, he begins to escort you all down the stairs, winding around the central pillar of this nightclub. As you head down the stairs, across the dance floor, the various ice sculptures of the serpents visibly dripping to bring some levity to the boiling heat of the inside of this room, as you're all shown to the door, and your chauffeur gets you past the bouncer, and as you all stand on the street outside of the club, not too far from the limo that had brought you here, he gives a nod and takes a final puff of his cigar. Don't worry, the security will know to let you in whenever you come back. Just be careful what you do. We have eyes pretty much everywhere.
We'll be careful.
Give a nod.
He gives a nod and a somewhat businesslike but friendly enough wave, sending some ashes and smoke from his cigar as he returns to the limo and slowly makes his way past all of you, presumably to take it wherever they keep it when not in use. And you are all left on your own on the streets of Edict.
What time is it?
At this point, you would estimate it to be, again, without sunlight, it's hard to get an exact read, but you would estimate it to be somewhere in the ballpark of 11 or 12 at night.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know
Caleb
about you,
is like-
but I am very, very bad.
And Caleb?
Caleb like rubs his eyes and is like, I'm kind of tired. Where are we going to be sleeping tonight? You seem to have a great interest in not going to the wrong part of town.
I don't know about you guys.
Also, you knew where to take us. I presume you don't think that we should all share a room.
Well, you guys can.
I would prefer not to, if that is okay with you.
Y'all enjoy the card that she gave you. I already have reservations, so I'll be on
You're
my
going
way.
to stay there, even though she's to the mother.
And I see no problem.
I see a big problem.
Just let him go.
But-
I'm tired of this.
Yeah, we're all tired. The only ones that's like I can only see 2 people here. But,
Yeah, do whatever you want.
alright.
It's his own skin.
Well, start wandering off towards the, where's the inn?
Officer, please get me to a hotel so I can get some rest.
Just think to myself.
Very well.
You sound very muffled, by the way.
Oh, my hand was in the front of the microphone, my bad.
Okay.
Alright. So, for the time being, the group parts ways. While Zephyr, you did not see the exact directions taken to get from passed over to the Free Flow Lounge, you've wandered the city long enough to have at least a very basic idea, and with a little bit of wandering, you'll be able to. You feel like you'll be able to find your way back to the Sweet Honey Hive without too much issue.
Yeah.
Neon, I will say, do you want to take the party somewhere relatively inexpensive, or are you going to take full advantage of the generosity bestowed upon your group by the mother?
I will take full fucking advantage because, Jesus Christ, this might be the last time I ever get to experience anything.
Experience just anything in general.
Yes, experience anything in general. What have you
Experience
people
life.
gotten me into?
All right.
You'll be
There was
okay.
opportunity for
We're not
you
gonna
to
kill
enjoy such pleasantries.
All right. Neon? And also, are you going to stick to the mother's territory or
Yes.
venture outside of it? Okay.
I'm
So,
not insane.
all right.
He's not
So,
going to try to look like that.
searching the local area, you all find that while Neon appears to know where they're going, most of this area that is the mother's territory appears to consist of things like factories and workshops, metallurgy buildings, and things of that nature. And while you don't see any like obvious businesses that would indicate where the mother gets her money from, you can definitely see how she's getting the supplies to create and sell the gear she claims to possess. But thankfully, the parts of the territory that are closer to the rest of Edict, as opposed to the barren wastes outside of it, do have a few amenities and small luxuries, casinos, swimming pools, that sort of thing. And indeed, Neon, you know of a relatively classy, if somewhat, it's considered a little low class, but it's within her territory and is the highest luxury you can get within it. You take them to the Sabbatical Motel. A humble-ish, but
Can you just spell
still Sabbatical. The Sabbatical Motel, a relatively humble by hotel standards, but it has that air of somewhat Ritz to it. It's sort of in a weird limbo between the kind of, cheap reliability of a motel and the kind of ritzy, like all amenities and luxuries conditions of a hotel. But heading inside, you see a male elf with somewhat curled brown hair at the front desk who smiles politely as you all enter. The lobby of the motel is, again, humble but comfortable. Some some relatively catchy, if quietly playing music plays over the speakers. A few glowing mushrooms are growing in flower pots. The floor is a cool, well-maintained tile. And this curly-haired elf smiles politely as you all enter. Yes, hello. Rooms for each of you, or are you all staying together?
I'll look back at the others and just kind of like, eh.
I'd like my own room.
Caleb would also like his own room.
Separate.
Of course. Let me just get you all set up. And how will you be paying for this?
Guess I'll hold up that card, right?
Yep. The curly-haired elf kind of immediately pales very slightly, and he immediately steps away from the computer and takes the card almost like delicately and cautiously, like he's afraid if he smudges it with his fingerprints, he'll be sniped. And I'll take care of it. Yes, just a moment, please. And kind of nervously fumbles as he runs the card, and without issue, you all are tossed the keys to your various rooms. Your rooms, the 17th floor is mostly unoccupied, and just look for the room number that's on your key.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty then.
Yes, appreciate it.
Happy to help. Please don't cause any trouble.
I'll try.
Do you serve a drink here?
Yes, would you like room service, or you can eat at the restaurant not too far from here? We have a bit of a back and forth deal going with them, so we'd be happy to send you their way if you prefer.
Yeah,
Room
I'll
service.
probably have room service. Yeah.
One more time, Lucian.
I'll probably have room service. Yes.
Okay, very well. I'll have someone check on each of you very shortly then.
I won't need anything.
Of course, sir. And here you go, officer. And he slides you back the card and seems very grateful to have it out of his possession and hands, and kind of nervously dusts his palms on the seat of his pants as he gives you all a bow. We hope you all enjoy your stay.
Yeah, we'll see.
As we go by, Gil wants to slide five gold, even though because he can always get transferred over later to him as a tip.
He kind of looks a bit confusedly at the coins, but glancing up at you into the coins, he kind of bites his lip a little bit, and I'll say with your passive insight, he seems to understand this more as a bribe than as a tip, but he takes the coins somewhat carefully and gives a nod to you. You get the impression that
I will say, I'm going to tell him it's a tip, not a bribe.
Thank you. I suppose I can always get this converted. He gives a nod. I'll try not to let anyone who comes knocking know that you're here.
Oh boy.
Appreciate it.
As I said, enjoy your stay. And Neon, you can see as everyone starts to head upstairs, he takes like a visible sigh of relief and slumps in his chair. As you all head upstairs and disperse to your various rooms where you will have some privacy, looking inside as the doors shut behind you, the rooms are humble, but look pretty comfortable. The carpet is a somewhat pliable, almost spongy material. The beds look comfortable and well maintained. There is bathrooms in each room. And while the bulk of you would have no idea how to use them, there are monitors, somewhat large screens built into the walls opposite each of the beds. Currently not displaying anything, but you've all seen monitors display various things. So while it's not impossible for you to make the connections, most of you aren't exactly certain how to go about using them. But overall, it doesn't have the luxuries that the Sweet Honey Hive provides, but you know, it's comfortable and will be more than sufficient for your stay. Is there anything you guys at the Sabbatical Motel would like to do before bunking down?
Caleb's just ready to sleep, so he's just gonna undress, leave everything strewn across the room, and jump in the bed to sleep.
All right. The bed has like a slight, almost that. I don't want to describe it as crunchy, but it makes that slight crackly sound as you jump into it. Again, the mattresses don't have the same fine make as the places you've stayed up till now, but again, it's comfortable, especially as your body kind of sinks into it, and you're able to bunk down easily enough. Very comfortable with your accommodations. So, Lucian, Gil, Neon, Caro, do any of you have anything you'd like to do before bunking down?
Nope, I'm simply going to walk into my room.
There are
I'm simply going to
two things.
Oh, okay, he was cutting out. I was tripping.
I'll let them finish.
All right, we'll cut back to you then. So, Neon?
I'm going to just walk into my room and not even bothering to take off my uniform, just collapse into the bed and not sleep a wink.
All right. Caro, anything?
Carol will take a nice long bath.
To get the hour-long soak in.
Yep. Blip, 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 blip. Bath is comfortable and relaxing.
Does Carol have gills or lungs?
Frogs have lungs. They have gills when they're babies, though, from I remember.
Oh, okay.
I think tadpoles do. Yeah.
Alright. Lucian, anything?
No, they don't have gills. I'm a fool.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Gil go first now.
Okay. Alright. So, as the more recent additions to the party begin to bunk down in various states of comfort,
The shorties.
Gil, as you have the privacy of the room, what would you like to do?
So, with the diamond-looking ceiling, I had to guess.
You can try to...
Outside of the mother's area, of course.
Well, bear in mind, to get to the crystals, you would have to go to Upper Edict to access the diamonds, because the ceiling of Lower Edict is just the metallic flooring of Upper Edict.
And that would take too long. And never mind, he's just going to go to bed.
They probably, I mean...
Alright. Lucian, what would you like to do?
Has room service come to her room yet?
Yes, sans Caleb, who specifically denied it. After some time, a elvish woman, seeming relatively on the young side, with this seeming to be dyed, but complimenting her well, red hair, kind of that like magenta red hair, tied back in a bun. Knocks on each of your doors to offer room service. You can request pretty much any meal, as it's already been paid for. Just basically anything that's not like incredibly luxurious. But again, it's humble but serviceable.
Well, yeah. Um, uh, I would like to see if you guys have any Star Blast.
Uh-oh. Rip Matthew.
What?
Sorry, I was muted. She kind of clears her throat and, I'm sorry, miss, but we don't serve.
It
that
is fine.
Sort.
It's just it's okay. I just didn't want to get it from what other alcoholic beverages do you use?
It's nothing special or overly fancy, but we do serve wine and ale here, as well as some various beer brands, if that's more your taste.
I'll have a bottle of wine.
Very well, miss. The elvish woman serves your meal and leaves a bottle of wine on the bedside table. And will that be all, miss? As she gives a bow.
Thank you.
Of course, miss. Just ring down at the front desk if you need anything. And with that, shuts the door behind her.
As soon as she's gone, I'm gonna sit on the bed, think about what was said to me and everything that just happened at the brokers, and feel the tears fill my eyes and down my cheeks. I'll look to the ceiling. I really needed you today. I still need you. I can't feel you. I used to feel you a lot, and she clutches her holy symbol. I don't know how I feel right now after everything that has been said to me and after everything that I've done. I don't deserve this life that you've given me. I've done so many things. She just sits quiet for a little while, silently crying. I'm going to... Go ahead.
You can feel a warmth radiating from your holy symbol. It's small, but it's there. It's fading and ebbing before returning. It's like a slight, small heartbeat, like the beating heart of a wounded animal that you can fit in your hands. It's hard to notice, but it is there.
I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to send a message to Lucifer. I know what happened. My heart hurts. Everything hurts. I've never needed you more. We're heading to... Where are we heading? Ergos?
The Ergos Republic.
Okay. We're heading to Ergos. Sabrat, meet me.
Is that the end of your message?
Yes.
All right. There's a pause. Several minutes pass, and other than the fact that your magic was successful, you honestly aren't even certain the message was received with how long of a delay there is. But after some time, you do finally get a response after about 6 or 7 minutes of sitting in silence. I'm sorry you had to find out from someone that wasn't me.
Oh.
I promised you I would fix everything, and I will. Be careful where you're going. She's dangerous. And that's the end of his message.
Enough for one more. Lucian. Thinking. Please. She's sending another message to
Yes.
Lucifer. Please. I really do need you. I think we all do. I'm begging you to please come. I can't do this by myself anymore. And that's my message.
Perfect.
There's another pause, a delay, and you know your brother well enough to know that a lot of these pauses is carefully thinking out what they want to say in advance, knowing the constraints of the spell they're working with. I can't. I want to help you, but if I abandon my post, if I give up what I'm doing, if I go against the lady. And there's a pause, and almost a full minute passes before you get a continuation. She can take it all away, and it will all have been for nothing. But you're not alone. You're still traveling with the others. Dr. Kaloum told me. Stay together and stay safe. And I'll see you soon.
Can I reply to him?
You can, as he had paused midway through his own message to use his own casting of the spell.
They don't understand me like you do. We do nothing but fight. And it's really hard to know who I can trust in this party. But I understand.
You receive no further reply from Lucifer Alefikir, although you know that your message was received.
Help me, please. I can't do this. She's gonna get up from her bed and go to the bathroom, shower. Just try to get through the night.
Very well. Zephyr, as you travel the night streets of the city of Edict, the augmented elves working the night shifts pass you by in droves. If they acknowledge your presence, they pay it no obvious mind. As you slowly weave your way back to the Sweet Honey Hive, opening the doors to the luxurious lobby, the elf working the counter, one you haven't seen yet, a female wood elf with dyed golden hair with black stripes, glances up at you only briefly before nodding, and she's in the penthouse whenever you're ready.
Let's not keep her waiting. I guess I will go to the penthouse.
As you make the climb, ascending to the luxurious top floor of the Sweet Honey Hive that you've become accustomed to during your stay in the city. Indeed, as you open the door and enter, you see standing silently, looking out the open balcony window that looms over the view of Lower Edict, somewhat fogged by the polluting mist and smog of the various factories in the Mother's territories. Not even turning to look directly at you, you see the Queen Bee's head give a slight nod to indicate your entry. There's a slight pause, and while you don't get any physical sensation, you just know she's digging through your head before she finally turns to look at you with a slight smile. You've been busy.
Yes, I went to go see the Reapers as you suggested.
She gives a bit of a smirk, and there's a pause. I hope you know it wasn't anything personal. I knew they weren't the optimal people for the job. I just knew it would be what I needed to stir the pot. But I do hope you found something of use.
Yeah. I did. I found a couple of things possible. While preferably I would like to be a pawn in such a game, but frankly, if I have some gain out of it, what happens in this town does not really concern me, so.
And that's how all good pawns should think. She gives a bit of a smile. If it's any consolation, I've not taken a look at the specifics of your deal outside of how the Reapers reacted and any sort of trade you may have offered them in return.
Well, it seems as though, I don't know if you saw this already, but
You work for the Mother now.
I don't know if I call it work. More or less, she has a job, and I is somewhat on my way.
Whatever you decide to call it, that's what she is going to think of it as. Really, you're possibly getting yourself in some trouble by coming to see me.
Well, while I appreciate her kindness of offering up room, but I already had reservations here, and frankly, I don't really care for her.
Nor do most in the city, I find. She and I have been rivals since we arrived in this city. I find her methods distasteful, her mindset unpleasant, but that's capitalism at work for you, I suppose. A bunch of options, all equally terrible. You just have to pick which one's the least awful.
I would have to agree. She is her personality does not really fit with the business suit, but
She's a wild one. Always has been. You know, she used to be an artist before she, you know. Indeed, I knew her back in those days. Well, she got into the business before I did. We were colleagues of a sort. We both work in entertainment, let's call it. She's always been a bit unpredictable. I think that unpredictability is what lended her well to this life. But regardless of how she got there or what motivated her to do it, that puts us on opposite sides now.
I get that, you know. Today's friend could be tomorrow's foe.
You would know that better than anyone.
Certainly.
May I ask you something?
Ask away.
these people that you're going up against, they have power, resources, influence. I know it's occurred to you at least a couple times. Why not simply ask them to provide what you're looking for? It'd be easier than going against them. And she kind of turns to finally look you over directly. Would certainly result, and her form shifts to take on a very familiar female elf body. Would result in a lot less infighting when you think about it in the long run.
Well,
Wait, what was that voice?
Lucy.
She turned into Lucian.
Oh, okay.
Or Lucifer.
What can they offer you that the Concord can't?
Well, problem with the Concord is, from what I've seen, is they're a bit tricky to deal with. I've seen how they treat my father. Once you work for them, there's probably no way of getting out. You're essentially their puppet.
The Lucian doppelganger gives a smirk and her form shifts back into her regular self. As she gives a slight shrug and looks you over with just a very tired expression. I suppose I can't fault that logic.
Yeah. Preferably, I would like to be the controller, not the controlled. But
Your father taught you well.
He's taught me a few things.
The skills have come in handy once or twice, I see. If it's any consolation, I do actually know what it's like. That's the reason I fell into all this. After a few too many years of getting yanked around by people in power who thought they could decide what was best for me without consulting me on the matter, I decided the best way around that was to be the person in power making those decisions. And I have money, land, power, even a title or two. As you can imagine, I wasn't exactly born the queen bee, but
I see that. I guess I have been a little bit curious on where the name Valkyrie.
She gives a smile. That was my name back in my old life before all of this.
Well, and I guess Zephyr's gonna kind of get like his eyes are gonna get kind of heavy as he's had quite a bit of a day, but gonna shake his head and just. I guess I do hope, me being in business with you while also business with her does not cause too much of conflict for you.
Nothing I haven't accounted for. To be honest, I've been looking for an excuse to expand a little bit for a while. This might be just the excuse to do it. You and your friends have certainly made a name for yourselves. Word on the street is you've hit just about every crime family in the city.
Uh, I don't know I don't know how much I don't know how much crime is in this, parts, but I know I've dipped my toe in a few here and there, but
How appropriate that your honeypot all comes to a head in my establishment. Do you plan to return once you leave?
if the need arises, but as of right now, I'm unsure of that need. But who knows? Maybe something down here will draw me back.
I suspect it might. But I suppose I won't hold out hope too deeply. She starts to step towards the door, but as she reaches the threshold between the balcony pool and the actual bedroom proper where you're standing, she looks down at you and tilts her head to the side with a slight smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. When I let you keep this reservation, I never specified whether you would have company or not. And she smirks a little bit and kind of looking down at you. Do you want me to stay with you?
Uh,
You need not partake. I know you have no interest in my primary services, but I know it's rather cliche of me to say, but there's a long pause before. You're lonely. You've been alone for a long time.
gives out a sigh and just, well, whenever you're dealing with bandits and all this chaos and families, well, not sure of betrayal. I would call it more of just when it counts, doesn't really have your back. Tends to tends to be hard not to be, alone in the situation. But I guess you'd say I've gotten used to it.
We all think we are, for a time.
Zephyr's going to kind of like a little tired, but just think about what the brokers have told him. How, well, we're pretty much less aware to the father, just more of the fact that he will never see his mom.
The queen bee, whether she's reading your thoughts or not, gives you a sympathetic smile and approaches the bed and sits on it. I'm sorry that you've lived such a lonely life, but take it from me and a lot of experience. Blocking people out isn't going to make it any easier. From where I'm at, it's even harder to trust people than it was from where I was. I lost friends, family, people who respected me, people who worked for me. It's a bloody path being alone.
Zephyr's going to kind of go to the bed and just... He's not going to lay down because he knows that if he did, he's just going to be pretty much out like a light. But, just... Well... Either... From what I've experienced, you know... It can be hard to trust people and it's some part of me finds it easier just to neglect people or not trust anyone at all, you know. If I don't trust them, how can they betray me?
She gently wraps an arm around your shoulder and hugs you to her side. I'm in no position to tell you how to live your life. I just think you should not make the mistakes I have that got me where I am. I have everything I could want, but nobody to share it with. I know it's cliche, but it's true.
Well, I had plans to hopefully change that for myself. I was told, I already had some suspicions, but was confirmed of where at least one of my relatives is holding. Now the problem is just getting there, getting them out.
Do you know where they are?
Based off what the brokers have told me, they're in a sort of a prison of like by the Concord.
She turns her to look at you and stares down at you for a moment at her side before looking away again. The Aegis Federation, Maberstrom Prison. I've heard the stories. Well, I know if you want them out, they won't be there for long.
So.
But, if nothing else, remember that once you have what you're looking for, it's a lot harder to protect it by yourself. You've made more enemies along the way than you have friends.
I have given somewhat of that thought, but right now my main focus is getting to them.
If there's anything at all I can do, just let me know. I'll miss you when you leave the city. You and your friends both. You're the first people since I came here, since I was born really, to see me as anything deeper than what my skin has to offer.
Well, I know people can be one-minded. And I would say it probably does help that that sort of service that you tend to provide does not interest.
It does.
Uh, uh, I kind of think, give a little thought about her offer, staying or not. And then he's going to kind of just try to just snap out of it, just like realizing while he would want, he definitely wants that, or some part of him wants that, he knows that it'll come at a cost. But, and he'll look back at her and I appreciate what you've done, what you've offered, and hopefully business in the future and it will be just just as well. As of right now, I don't have anything that needs to be done.
She looks at you, seeming a bit sad and put out, but slowly moves to stand up and gives you a deep bow. Very well. I'll make sure that none of my people break word that you were here. I can't speak for people on the streets, but they know better than to snitch too wildly.
Well, as long as I can get my sleep, I'm not too worried about what she could do.
Even she's not bold enough to come marching into territory I own and try and claim you. I hope you find your peace, Zephyr, whatever form that ends up taking.
If such thing is possible.
If they are. I've been in their heads just as much as I have in yours. The people you're traveling with are good-hearted, if somewhat dumb at times. They mean the best. They just all have their own ideas of what that looks like.
Wow. Well, whatever those ideas that they have, I'm unsure how to, all I know is that he's just getting tired.
Mm-hmm.
About the kind of his eyes are getting like very heavy, like any second now, but whatever the case may be, They're... Well, I may have betrayed them once. I don't see any reason to do it again, though I can't say I would never if the need arises, but they have proved that they can be useful.
Is that what you think?
Yes. One way or another, they tend to get things done, though sometimes can be a smidge chaotic, but results do show itself.
I suppose they do. It's interesting having the abilities I do. Sometimes you see more looking in than even they themselves do.
I bet. Seeing someone from who they are, while also from an outside point of view.
She hesitates a moment before nodding. You'll need your rest for tomorrow. I'll miss you while you're away, but I know business has to be business. But I do hope we'll see each other again someday.
I guess I will see you when I see you.
See you around, Zephyr. And with that, she steps into the elevator, and the doors shut behind her.
As she shuts the door, Zephyr's going to kind of just crawl into bed and just pretty much immediately just pass out.
The night passes. You all sleep in various states of comfort. Some simply happy to enjoy the comfort and luxury while you have it. Others lying awake or half awake, fretfully contemplating what the future holds as the paradigm shifts. Your dreams are fraught with snakes with stinger tails and whatever horrors your mind can conjure that await you in the journey to come. The morning comes, and again, while there's no sunlight to be awoken by in the city of Edict, you all begin to awake in your various accommodations the following morning. Ready to meet with the mother, to receive whatever goods she can offer you.
Could I find some coffee?
Indeed. In the
Is there breakfast?
yeah. Yes, the sabbatical motel does have a very simple cafeteria where you can get coffee and breakfast, and again with Officer Neon's card, you can all consider it paid for.
And as waking up, like, you know, part of the short rest, I'm going to kind of I'm going to try out the slippers of spider climbing and attune to them, walking the walls, you know, testing them out.
All right. You slip on the slippers. They're comfortable and form-fitting, and indeed, you find yourself able to walk along walls and ceilings with minimal issue. Speaking of which, yeah, since you are, you can all go ahead and pen down a long rest. And Caro, do you want to attune to the gloves of nano ammo during this rest?
Yes.
All right. As you go down for rest, you take the time to, as the brokers have suggested, get some practice. And indeed, you pull out your crossbow, and rather than loading a bolt as you typically would, you simply level the unloaded crossbow, taking a practice shot at the wall, trusting that the mother will happily cover the safety deposit. And as you activate the gloves and pull the trigger of the crossbow, this almost like misty black cloud forms from the fingertips of the gloves and forms a crossbow bolt in the crossbow that is then fired at the wall and promptly. It's not huge, not exactly a grenade or explosive bolt, but a small blast, bigger than what the bolt would ordinarily have done, is knocked into the wall as the nano machines disperse on impact.
Wow, Carol wrecking the place.
You can see Kara's eyes practically sparkling.
All right, so Zephyr, you are now attuned to the slippers of spider climbing, and Caro, you are now attuned to the gloves of nano ammo.
That when Caleb comes down to get some breakfast, his clothes look like they have been thrown across the floor because they are. So they're like wrinkly.
Real wrinkly clothes.
Fair
They're all
enough.
wrinkly and messy because he just threw them across the floor when he slept.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Was fighting the urge to say, "You need to iron your clothes."
The irons exist in their culture.
Well, yeah, she doesn't actually say that anyway, but there is at least the concept of like smoothing them out.
Probably
Yeah,
a
so
metal
here,
plate that you
places
stick
are-
in the furnace for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, just cook your clothes. Tasty.
There's
Taste.
Hey,
irons and
hey, isn't there like a soup? Don't peasants make soup out of their shoes?
I wouldn't. I am not exactly an expert on peasant soup. All right. Those of you staying at the Sabbatical Motel get breakfast and beverages. Lucian, nursing a very slight hangover from your wine, go ahead and make me a Constitution save.
not good. 9.
What are they rolling for?
Con save. All right, noted.
Coffee?
Well, partially the coffee and also partially their Star Blast addiction. Because you failed the saving throw, Lucian, you are essentially now in a state of withdrawal-induced irritability.
That's gonna be fun dealing with Snake Lady.
So yeah, your head is
She has her cough and she's just like glaring at everybody.
Thankfully, as you sip the coffee, it does reduce your hangover and at least mitigates your withdrawal ever so slightly. It takes some of the edge off, but you're still cranky and your head still is kind of sore, but it's at least not actively pounding as you eat and get some coffee in your system. Zephyr, do you have anything notable you'd like to do before heading towards back towards the Mother's territory?
I thought about attuning as well, but I could do it later. Yeah, I could do that later, so he'll probably just start heading over.
Okay. After you guys are finished eating, are you gonna head back towards the free flow lounge, or do you have any other plans in the city?
I think I want to go ahead and reconvert my coins real quick, since I think we are planning to go right after we pick up the stuff, right?
Yeah, that would make sense. I think Caleb would do the same.
All right. So Lucian proposes this over breakfast, and Caleb seems in favor.
Gil will do the same.
All right. So, Zephyr, as you exit the Sweet Honey Hive and start making your way towards the Mother's Turf on the outskirts of the city, and the rest of you finish your breakfast. Lucian, feeling actually a little bit better after getting some food and coffee in you. Again, still not good, but better.
Trade one addiction for another.
You all start making your way towards the bank. And Neon, you would know that, this is going to be the first time in a while you've left the city where potentially, depending on where you end up, credits may no longer have any significant value.
I'm scared. I haven't gone analog in a long time. How will I survive?
Neon,
Okay.
are you going to...
I'll protect you, little guy.
Neon, are you going to convert your currency as well?
Yeah.
All right.
Isn't it 1-to-1?
Generally, yeah. It's more just, yeah, as Neon was saying, like they haven't had to like do it this way in a long time. They've gotten kind of used to digital. All right.
It's like, I don't even know how to hand people things anymore.
They keep trying to hand him a tablet. Like, take my money. Like, what?
What are you talking about? Are you
Stop
giving...
taking my money.
Now I have to worry about making change.
Neon, you and the others make your way towards the Bank of Edict, and sure enough, with minimal issue, you all reconvert your currency to gold, or silver as appropriate. Your pockets a little bit heavier. Do you all wish to keep the tablets that may have some other uses, or are you going to turn those in as well?
Caleb will keep it in case they come back, and he'll put it in his bag of holding.
All right. The rest of you.
Keep mine
Can I
as
put
well.
mine in your bag of holding, Caleb?
Is there a way to tell them apart?
Each of yours is like essentially hooked to a personal account. So, yeah.
You couldn't like physically view, like see them apart, but you can just look at them like, hey, look, that's my account.
Like, it was like, okay, you can put it in my bag.
I'll keep mine.
Thank you, Caleb.
Caro, you as well?
Yeah, I'll keep it.
Like
All right.
Lucian just turned
So-
Caleb into personal.
I mean, to be fair, the guy carrying the bag of holding is always going to be the pack mule.
Didn't
Alright.
Leper also find one?
Well, I bought one, yeah. Just no one knows it.
She was open, and she mentioned like 3 times that she wanted a bag of holding. So, like, you know.
Caleb found it first.
Caleb is the dedicated bag of holding holder.
Bag of holding.
Yeah.
All right. So, you all head to the Bank of Edict. Keep your tablets, but watch as the numbers.
First, second, or third Bank of Edict.
Asking, it appears to be the first. And you watch as the number on your tablets slowly shrink to 0, and you are given your metallic currency back. Your pocket's a bit weightier, which for some of you is more comfortable, for others less so. Neon, it's odd having these clingy clangs in your pocket.
Neo probably feels like he's got lead weights attached to him now.
I feel heavier.
I feel like I'll sink in water.
And
as you walk around a mech.
How would Morrigan handle the increased weight?
It's overtax for suspension.
Alright. So, making your deposit, you all start making your way back towards the Free Flow Lounge.
I suppose they had enough gold for everybody. I'm sure they don't get that many conversions.
Well, I mean, you had your gold.
Yeah, to be fair,
so-
yeah, they had the gold you guys gave them, so.
The only thing is that y'all spent some gold, so.
Yeah, so it balances out. With that, you all start making your way back to the Free Flow Lounge. While Zephyr, you have a bit longer to walk. The party had to make their pit stop at the bank, and you know how long bank trips take, so.
This is why you gotta use the drive-through.
You all arrive at the Free Flow Lounge, where the chauffeur is already waiting outside, hands in suit pockets, a little bit away from the lounge itself, but leaning on a nearby building, smoking as always, and kind of giving you all nods as you begin to approach. Zephyr rejoining the group as you all approach.
Is it hot as hell still?
Yeah, there is still that heat coming off of the lounge itself.
Nice.
And hopefully I
Said
haven't
the
kept you
reptile.
waiting too long.
Yeah.
And the reptile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've been
and,
around the heat place or cold place. Now we're the heat place.
He looks to you, Gil, and gives a smile and a shake of the head. Not at all. She's waiting for you with a few business partners to work out the specifics of what you all would like. She has quite the selection picked out for all of you. Hopefully you'll all find something good.
Splendid. Lead the way.
He gives a nod, and
Campaign's about to become schizotech.
yeah, I fucking love Schizotech. My Friday group just got machine guns in their game, so no, I adore Schizotech. It's my favorite trope.
You probably liked finding the M60 in Magicka.
Yeah, you remember whenever we played that, I would refuse to play any other class. Like, I get to use an assault rifle while everyone else casts spells? That's awesome!
You know, there's also the mission where you can get the fucking M60 machine gun.
Those are the days. Anyway.
And then I'd use a lightning bolt or crash the desktop.
Yep, and then I lose my good item and am forced to go back to my pithy assault rifle.
Hey, if you play it again, I promise I won't do that ever again.
No, you don't.
we'll perma-ban that spell. Mostly crash the desktop because you just lose fucking everything.
The chauffeur escorts all of you, much like before, into the Free Flow Lounge. However, as you guys enter, there is actually substantially less activity this time. While there is still people within the lounge, and the music is still playing, the dancers are not on stage, and the crowds appear to be sticking mostly to the buffet table and bar. And again, while there is some ambient noise, the quiet relative compared to last time and the lack of blinding, overwhelming visuals is a little off-putting. And looking
also
up,
the lack of pretty much blatant sex.
yeah. Looking up at the balcony area of the center column, you can actually see the mother already uncoiled and waiting, leaning with crossed arms over the railing as she watches your entry. Behind her, you can see several elves with many suitcases and crates at their side. And she smiles broadly as the chauffeur begins to nervously escort all of you.
And it's all in suitcases and briefcases.
suitcases and crates.
Caleb was like,
Yeah,
Man, they could
as I
probably-
see
they could-
her,
Caleb's like, they could probably second this selling suitcases to people.
yeah,
And Gil?
as I see her though, I'm going to raise my voice and say,
Oh god.
"Mom, nice to see you again."
She gives a smile and a wave of the hand, flicking her fingers in a wave as she slowly slithers to stand behind the various elves as she continues to watch as the chauffeur kind of nervously escorts you all down the walkway, up the stairs, and finally back in the dining area, although the tables and chairs appear to have been removed. And the mother herself opens her arms. It's good to have you all back. We thought it appropriate to keep the area rather clear, keep things a bit private, and give you all a chance to get comfortable with what we're offering you. I thought this would be a bit more convenient than having to yank you all over the city to my various people, middlemen, and that sort of thing. So I decided to bring the middlemen and their supplies to you. She pushes one of the elves forward with the stinger of her tail. My arms dealer sells the finest weapons in the city. She pushes an elvish woman forward. My armorer supplies some of the best gear that even the peacekeepers haven't gotten a hold of yet. And she pushes one final elf forward, another male. A little bit of in between, a little bit of whatever else doesn't fit the other two. Rest assured, their supplies are many, and I took the time to curate on your behalf what I thought you would find most interesting. I know you have no interest in the prosthetics I can offer, as you don't wish to be laid up. So I decided to stick with things that you could get relatively brief.
It's much appreciated.
Of course. I offer only the best, as long as you stay in line. She looks to you, Zephyr, and kind of stares at you for a moment before returning her gaze to the rest of you. Well, I don't intend to keep you waiting forever. Who would like to stand forward first?
Caleb will step forward first.
Ladies
I'm
first.
excited to see what they got.
Gil, as you turn to say that, you feel a slight nudge at your side as Caleb excitedly steps forward. Ooh. Taking an interest in my wares, Mr. Tebedra. Very well. Show him what we have to offer, the little assassin. The female elf steps forward and kind of looking a little bit nervous. You see that this is a somewhat short elvish woman coming at just a little at a typical human height. Her hair is dark raven black and tied back in a long ponytail that reaches down to her waist. It's hard to get a good read on her age. She appears to be relatively in her prime for an elf, but again, that could mean a lot of things. You do see some slight scratches and scars on her face, whether from battle or from her work as an armorer is hard to say. But she gives you a polite smile as you approach, Caleb. I'm told that you have a preference for mobility, getting in and out quietly, and taking your opponents out before they're aware of your presence, yes?
That is the general idea, yes.
She gives a smile and cracks open one of the crates and reaches inside and pulls free what appears to be a relatively thin-looking garment, a dark black. It appears to be a mixture of a hoodie and a long coat, having like the hood that can be pulled up, while also the length of a long coat. It's a lot heavier than it looks, but if it looks interesting to you, by all means, try it on.
Caleb will give it a try.
This is a somewhat experimental fabric I'm working on. If it works properly, and rest assured, I have no reason to suspect it doesn't. I made sure it was tested before bringing it for display here. It should allow you, briefly, but nonetheless successfully, to pass through walls and obstacles as if they weren't even there.
Is this like an object around that Caleb might be able to test this on?
There are the various crates. While the tables and chairs have been removed, the crates are there, and she smiles as you kind of look around and gestures to the nearest one. Just zip it up, and she kind of pats around your chest and directs your hands to a small button, just slightly like not in the exact center, but off to your left of the chest. Just hit that, and it will allow you to pass through. Just try to make wherever you're going quick. We don't want you getting stuck midway, and Mom says that you won't have access to energy cells consistently where you're going, or quite possibly so. So I made sure to make it solar charged. So it can get you past a few obstacles, but try not to overdo it, or you'll risk getting yourself stuck.
Caleb will try to test it on like a crate.
All right. You follow her instructions, zip up the long coat, pull up the hood, and pressing the button on your chest, you take a bit of a jog, and indeed you all watch as Caleb passes through the crate as if it weren't even there. And as you emerge from the other side, the coat re-solidifies.
Caleb will take it off for now, and like, that is kind of cool. Is there any other items?
She gives a smile and takes the coat back and gently folds it and sets it back inside the crate. I'll see what else I have that you may have an interest in. The mother slithers forward and holds up a hand. In the meanwhile, though, I think it's only fair we let the rest of you take a bit of a look. Who would like to go next?
I'll take a look.
The mother gives a slight smile and tilt of the head. Very well. If you'll see my supplier, and she slithers to the side, allowing you to see the third male elf that had been introduced. This one even shorter than the last. Their hair also raven black. You suspect that the woman and this man might be related in some way. The hair appears to be cut into a bowl cut, and you would obviously know that elvish hair cannot be shaven except by magical means. So you suspect that this may have been a poorly done self job, as you can see visible lengths of hair that differ in length, and a shaven
barber needs enchanted scissors.
Yeah.
Talked about that before.
Yeah, it's a relatively common enchantment, just one that you need. This you can see this elvish man has a slight slouch to his posture, and smiles at you with somewhat crooked teeth. These wide steampunk goggles, making his eyes look incredibly magnified. Yes, of course. Step forward. Now, I'm told that your tastes are unpredictable, yes? You're a spellcaster. You have no need for weapons, no real need for armor. It took me a while to decide what you might be interested in, but I think I may have struck it.
Trust me.
He opens the suitcase he's carrying, and inside you see a relatively simple-looking, rounded You almost think it might be a gem at first, but as he pulls it free and rolls it in his palm, you see that it appears to be, at a glance, a somewhat unremarkable pearl. And he gives a smile. While I cannot take credit for the design, its functionality cannot be designed. I'm told that with this pearl, you would have the ability to give yourself a bit more extra magical energy in case you need it in a pinch.
The perfect
Would
item.
be like set it to like a ring.
I probably could organize that if you give me time. I have some people on call, but that's not all I have to offer you. The mother gives a bit of a smile. Indeed, I want to make sure you all get something of equal value, and it'd be rather unfair of me to let you walk away with an item not as valuable as everyone else. So we decided to compromise and decided that you would get a little bit extra, and it should overall amount to about the same. I'm told you're a bit of an avid reader, yes?
Of books.
And I'm also told that you're something of a... Well, you fancy yourself something of a little bit of everything. Have you any interest in tinkering, building things?
I'm already interested in alchemy and chemistry
Well,
and medicine.
what I have to offer you today fits those descriptions if you're a bit generous with its application. He gives a bit of a smirk and a chuckle as he pulls a book from the suitcase, flipping it over to show you the cover. You see that the title in somewhat like sharp, like almost scribbled hastily lettering is the title Creations of the Anarchist.
Sorry, I was writing.
With this book, you could take the time to read it if you find yourself in battle. Believe me, it's a lot shorter of a read than it looks. And you may find yourself being able to do, we can certainly call it chemistry and alchemy, to your foes. Although, you may want to be cautious. Look, I'm not an arms dealer, but even I can tell you bombs are not an exact science. You may find your friends just as vulnerable to them as your enemies. So be a bit cautious with its use, but I'm told you're a reader. You have an interest in chemistry. This might be right up your alley. And he flips the book over and holds it towards you.
Sorry. Did you say bomb?
Yes.
Interesting.
Already just got louder.
I'm very interesting. Yes.
Would anyone else like to step forward and take a look?
I guess I will get this over with.
Be careful, that enthusiasm of yours might be contagious. She gives you a somewhat neutral expression and slithers to the side and gestures towards the armorer who's helping Caleb pack away the suit he had tried on, who raises her hand to you, Zephyr. That's me, over here. I'm told that you've been, much like your brother, interested in finding something that could increase your stealth and maneuverability, yes?
In some ways, yes.
Mm-hmm. just as I thought. Here. She reaches into the crate and pulls free a dark, almost metallic gray colored suit. It appears relatively unremarkable. A simple jacket. One more time.
You're like
Yeah, you're away from your mic.
insanely far away.
Sorry, I still can't.
Like he's saying the size.
You're really far away.
Yeah.
Alright, hang on. Let me adjust.
There you go.
Is it mini size for Zephyr?
That's what I was
Yes, yeah, it is appropriately sized. Took the time to make sure it was custom fitted. Care to try it on?
Well, first, what is its particular use?
She gives a smile. I constructed this of a special weave that Mom provided me. With this, you will find that your aptitude for stealth is rather increased. It muffles all footsteps, the sound of your hands at work. As long as you're wearing this, you won't produce a sound, at least outside of anything you're carrying. It can't exactly silence a gunshot, but it can certainly make sure that your footfalls on a metal floor go completely unheard. Makes it a lot easier to sneak around, I imagine.
Well, if you had gotten to me earlier, sometime yesterday, I would have taken this off your hand, but he's going to pull out of his backpack his boots of elven kind. He's like, I seem to have something that can do pretty much what you're offering.
Oh, but can yours do this? And reaching towards a small, what almost appears to be a valve of sorts, a button that you can twist on the where the buckle of a belt on the suit would be. She gives it a twist, and the suit vanishes. Complete invisibility in the event of an emergency. It doesn't last forever, but lasts long enough to, if you're somehow found even while wearing it, she gives a smile, you'll be able to slip away. And for what it's worth, she glances down at your slippers. You can't wear those and those at the same time. This would allow you to reap both benefits.
Well, before I say yes, I must ask, I'm guessing such a power of invisibility requires, power.
As I said, Mother made sure that I was made aware of your situation regarding energy cells, much like the ghost armor. This armor will require a bit of a recharge, especially for its invisibility, but the sound dampening feature is inherent to the fabric, and the invisibility will recharge if given at least an hour to cool.
Come on, you want to.
Well, I mean, mainly going for the invisibility, I guess, but if it's anything. I guess if you have nothing else to offer.
I have plenty, but I'm told that you don't want to linger too long.
Well,
And Zephyr, you can hear the slight clanking of metal as Mother's prosthetics approach you and gently rake across your arm with the stinger. And if you decide that with this armor you have no use for the boots, I'd be happy to take them in and trade you for something else.
Oh.
He'll kind of look at the mother and with sort of just this little like spark grin, he's going to tempting of an offer, but I can have other use for this.
Very well. The stinger retracts. Next.
I guess I'll very hesitantly step forward.
You'll be dealing with me, Officer Neon. You see this
It's like James Bond or something.
You see this beautiful male elf, also with the same matching raven black hair as the others. His hair in a relatively simple braid that's tossed over his shoulder, wearing a very fine suit, and giving a smile as you approach. Much like a few of your friends, I'm told that you're something of an engineer. I heard the stories of how you assembled Morgan yourself from scrapyard parts.
That's all true.
Well, if you're going to be venturing outside of the city and facing down dangerous foes, I think it's high time Morgan got an upgrade, don't you?
I've been thinking about that myself, if I'm honest.
Let me show you what I have to offer. He opens one of the crates and starts to take a few components out, a few of which you actually recognize, others you don't. Now, I have a wide selection here. You won't be able to fit more than a few on Morgan, but if you're willing to let me borrow her for a night or two, I'd be happy to install all of them as part of the purchasing price. He gestures to each of the different options. The kinetic striker, flamethrower, grenade launcher, restoration fog, proximity mines, and lightning rod.
Okay, so there's kinetic
striker.
Yeah, kinetic the fucking her.
Flamethrower, grenade launcher, restorative fog, proximity mine, and lightning rod.
Flamethrower sounds interesting. Quite useful, unfortunately.
Indeed. Now, I estimate from Morgan's design that, and he kind of thinks for a moment, at most I'd be able to attach 2 weapons and a utility.
I imagine
Neil.
What's that?
I look at Neon
I was gonna,
with a little bit of panic.
when he mentions the flamethrower, didn't you find one already?
That's true, but I don't imagine much would be gained from that, considering that's made for handheld use.
True. Just wasn't sure if you remembered.
No, I do remember. I was considering it for a while, like trying to jury-rig it, but I was like, I don't feel like there'd be much to be done with it.
And what were you saying, Neon?
I imagine the restorative fog counts as a utility.
Yeah, the restorative fog, the proximity mines, and the kinetic striker.
Okay. All right. A flamethrower, grenade launcher, and restorative fog.
Very well. You're a man who knows what they want. I respect that. Very well. Leave Morgan with me. I will see her well taken care of, rest assured. I only deal with the finest.
Since we are going to eat anyways, can I leave my pearl of power with you, and can you make a ring for me?
Indeed I can, miss. Just give me... well, from the sounds of it, my brother will take a couple days to finish with his tinkering. So how about you all just come back in a couple days, and we'll call it square.
You might need
That's fine
need
for
to
me.
know. You might need to know. Do not make any attempts to pilot Morrigan, or you will be thrown out and dealt with quite painfully.
Rest assured, that won't be a problem, sir.
Very well. Just thought I'd warn you.
Your warning is appreciated, but unnecessary. My people know how to work quickly, quietly. Morrigan won't even know we're there.
I sure hope not.
Seems worrisome.
Next.
I think I'm
Gil
in.
will step forward and say,
Oh no.
well, Gil and Carol last.
Yeah.
I'll let Carol go real quick.
Yeah.
You'll be dealing with me as well, miss. Come here.
I'm gonna step over to him.
Now, Mother told me that I was to make you a somewhat special offer. Your companion, and she gestures to Garrow, who's kind of like overseeing all this, looking a little on edge, but staying calm and collected as long as you are unhurt. See combat more than the average beast. So, while I don't have it on hand, I would be happy to take the time over the next couple days to assemble armor for your beast. Do you have a material preference? Would you prefer something light and dexterous, something a bit heavier and more protective?
I feel like Garrow would like something that he can move in.
Very well. Once I have your friends, she gestures to the Tibadran boys, taken care of, I will get your friends' measurements before you go. But for you, she gestures, you'll also be dealing with me. I know, a bit of a unique situation you're in, given that you travel everywhere with your pet. But come here. I have a few offers to make you.
Can't toddle over to him.
Now, I carry quite the collection of specialized ammunition that could be used for a variety of situations, and rest assured, all reusable. Just try not to lose them. But Mother told me that you have a rather unfortunate... Oh, how should I say this? You can't be outside of the water for too long, and the heat tends to get you down.
Yes, that is true.
So, my siblings and I collaborated on a somewhat unique piece. We had to have it fitted, and it will take some final assembly, but we thought it only fair that you get the chance to look at it. He breaks open the largest of the crates, and rather than pulling it out as the lid comes off, it's actually a sideways, like built up tall crate, and as they pull it open, you see a fitted for you a little bit larger so you can fit inside comfortably what appears to be a somewhat primitive diving suit, although sans the helmet. So it's that kind of baggy material.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, a somewhat collaborative piece. Rather than supplying oxygen, hence the no need for a helmet, it will flood the suit with water, keeping you soaked at all times as long as you're wearing it. It'll provide protection, limit your bare skin-to-skin contact with your allies to avoid further complications in that regard. I'm told that that's been a somewhat recurring problem for you. And we took the time to install a few features to make sure that you were getting your money's worth for doing our mother the favor you're doing her. He starts to go over it, flicking a switch built into the collar of the suit, which projects a light onto the patio from a small sort of diving port view in the chest. Provides light in darkness. The gloves are lightweight, more than you'd find with suits of this nature. you will be much more maneuverable in the water, and he pulls on the fabric. At this point, his sister speaks up. Because we had to take the time to make sure it was fitted against the elements being underwater, you'll find that it's rather resistant. From our tests, while it's by no means bulletproof, it's tougher than what you're already wearing, and extreme cold will have little to no effect on it.
Courage takes this in for a moment. Just wow, that's not in a disappointed way, just at a loss for words.
Rest assured, though, I know you're a long-ranged fighter. If you'd have more use for the specialized ammunition I'm carrying, I'd be more than happy to show you what I have.
No. That means I can hug my friends even more.
Oh, Karo is adorable.
You are for the sinful world.
My heart is melting.
The elves give you a smile. Very well. We'll make the finishing touches and have a prototype version ready for you by the time you return.
Yes. Thank you.
Of course. Caro, Neon, your deals are complete. And Gil, the mother nods to you for you to approach. Now, I'm told you're something of a... I'm told you're something of a swordsman. I'm told you carry a mighty fine weapon on you already.
Correct. And I will pull out my flame tongue to show him.
Decent craftsmanship. Altogether, not the worst thing in the world, but primitive. I think you'll find I can do much better.
That's what I long to hear. What do you got?
He opens the suitcase he's carrying to reveal a pair of gauntlets made of a dark silvery gray material, sort of similar to what Zephyr's stealth suit was made out of. And putting them over his hands. They're a little bulky, but gives a smile and cracks the knuckles together. And you see the fingers of the glove immediately begin to glow. Plasma gauntlets. He sets a small mannequin from one of his sister's crates on top of another and takes a slice, and it immediately falls to ribbons. I think you'll find plasma does much more damage than fire, and the gauntlets are tough enough to complement your physique. You'll find that as long as you keep the armor you're already wearing limited so as not to take up more room than necessary in the gauntlet's wrists, you'll find that they actually offer more protection than you would ordinarily have. The gauntlets themselves are completely bulletproof, and while the item itself is not indestructible, you can imagine that makes it rather tough to lose. And I'm told that you're something of an unconventional fighter, preferring to use your own physical body rather than weapons when it suits you, and I figured this would give you the best of both worlds. Although, be warned, unlike my siblings' work, this was engineered before you and your friend's arrival into the city, so it will require energy cells for functionality, but rest assured, its fuel consumption is incredibly efficient.
Like, Gil's bouncing up and down on his toes. Torn. He's gonna reach for like, okay, I got him. I want him, please. He's like a kid right now.
I thought you might. Here you are. Energy cells already included, and I'm told you're carrying a few on your person, so you should find no shortage of use for them. And you're always free to return to Edict if you find yourself running low on fuel.
Of course.
All right. That leaves Zephyr, Caleb, and Lucian. Caleb, the handsome elvish brother, approaches you and puts a hand on your shoulder. I thought that you might not have too much interest in the wares of my sister. Perhaps I could offer you something you'd find interesting.
It's not my interest. It's more I like to see options.
Mm-hmm.
Long distance fighter, prefers to be stealthy. I think I have something you might like. He starts to dig through the crate and pulls free a quiver, having a somewhat slim and mechanical design compared to the leatherwork ones most of you are familiar with. And he starts to pull various arrows free, almost like kind of quietly comparing them to your physique to like see how they, like as if he can see you wearing them or using them, and seeing whether he likes that or not. Eventually, he pulls one free and gives a bit of a smile, twirls the arrow between his fingers, and holds the base out to you. A somewhat experimental and unconventional design. This arrow, you need not a bow to fire it, rest assured. I know that while it's within your skill set, you're not exactly an archer. Simply, well, here, perhaps I could simply demonstrate. He sets up another mannequin on one of his sister's crates, steps back with the arrow and holds the base between his fingers, and he takes a moment, almost lining up the shot, before turning in the opposite direction and throwing the arrow. And you watch as the arrow starts to curve, going all the way around, almost skimming the walls of the nightclub before circling all the way around and striking the back of the mannequin. An experimental design we've been working on, an arrow that, as long as you name your target, will travel until it finds purchase.
Was the arrow just moving purely based on the throw, or was it like propelled?
If there is propulsion, you didn't see it.
How did it fly for so long?
We put in a little bit of fuel to give it some thrust, but rest assured, we've given it more than enough to combine it with the aerodynamics as it travels. Basically, as it travels, it charges itself. Although, obviously, you will need to retrieve it once it's used, and if you lose it, I'm afraid it's simply gone. And it's not indestructible, so be cautious about where you throw it exactly. But as long as your target is not completely unreachable, the arrow will not stop until it hits its target.
Could just say Lucian and just go attack, or not Lucian, Lucifer, and just go attack Lucifer.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Caleb is seemingly not as impressed with this as he was the first item.
In fact, technically that has quite a bit of use, because technically, couldn't you like say the name of someone?
Yeah,
and just
but he
follow
lost him and he could lose it.
Well, yeah, but thinking depends on how fast it travels. You just follow the arrow to just find anyone you ever want. Like, hey,
It does travel as fast as an arrow, and remember, it doesn't stop until it finds its target. So while you could, in theory, use that to figure out what direction to go, you couldn't use it to, basically, it would fly off in a direction as fast as an arrow flies, and obviously you can't possibly run that fast.
sure about that?
I'm very sure, Zephyr. You're fast, but you're not that fast.
Caleb is going to look to the lady elf who had like the thing that goes through stuff.
The ghost armor.
He's gonna ask. It was black, right?
Yeah, black hoodie, long coat.
Caleb is like, is black the only color it can be?
We'd be more than happy to give it a paint job.
I think I like this better. Picking out the cloak thing.
Very well. Leave it with us. And what color would you like it? We can even do patterns and designs if you prefer.
Caleb is just gonna indicate to his cloak, which you know what colors it is.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna say, I would prefer it like this.
Very well. She gives a smile and a nod. We'll see it taken care of. And she takes the ghost armor back out of the crate and lays it over another. The brother holding the arrow looks a little disappointed, but twirls the arrow and puts it back into the quiver and slings it over his shoulder. Very well. And turns to you, Zephyr. And what about you? Have you changed your mind on my sister's stealth armor, or is there something else you had in mind?
Well, there is an item. There's something I am curious about getting my hand, but not sure if I'm willing to make that as a deal. But
Well, it'd be helpful if I knew what it was. Perhaps we could name a price.
I get that. I guess I have from recent events. It seems as though knowing what items we have are a bit hard. So something that can help us, or more me, figure out what does what.
I do have some goggles that might suit your needs. Mom, are they... she holds up a hand and smiles. I think you'll find that they're exactly valuable enough. The seeming middle child, having not the height of his siblings, gives a nod and begins to rifle through their more of the crates before finally pulling free a set of goggles. Although less Zephyr and more Austin for you as the player's benefit, these actually appear to be different than what you're necessarily expecting. They look somewhat akin to the goggles that the elf themselves are wearing. A set of somewhat steampunk-looking goggles with zoomable lenses. And the elf kind of wipes the lenses a little bit before holding them out to you. Yes. Indeed, these goggles are built with an AI that will attempt to identify any item it sees and determine their attributes, but they have an additional property. If you take a period of several days to examine the same item over the duration, you'll find that it can give you a bit more information on the item's history, who created it, where it came from, how it ended up where it did, that sort of thing.
I'm not. That is somewhat what I'm looking for, though I'm not sure if I am interested in all the information that you're saying it can provide. I mean, where it came from, most of the time doesn't really have any need in my opinion, but I am interested in its function of being able to identify stuff at least.
He gives a nod. Of course. If you're interested. He looks to the mother again, who gives a nod. I think the deal is more than fair, if this is what you're looking for, Zephyr.
I'm. Well, how much is it?
Oh, well, if you're looking to buy, he kind of straightens up a little bit, looks a little, kind of perks up visibly, and crunching the numbers in his head a little bit, he glances to the mother, who considers as well for a moment before simply nodding. You don't know what exactly they're banding so silently, but he pauses and gives a nod. I'm told you deal in surface currency, yes? Not credits?
Yes, I don't really trust currency.
He gives a bit of a smile and says, 700 gold for the goggles.
Bit pricey for that I would have cared for, but I know it's probably because of all those extra functions. Granted, still debating if such a function needed, but for what it could do, I guess I will buy it then.
He gives a nod and holds out his hands. Do you have the gold to pay for it, or are you going to throw in one of the gems?
I have the gold.
Okay. So you pay for the goggles. He hands them off to you happily. They're a little on the heavy side, but they look like they'll fit your head relatively comfortably. While your business is appreciated, we still have our end of the bargain to hold up. Do you wish to have my sister's stealth armor as well, or is there something else you'd want?
Well, as like my brother, if you have other options, I wouldn't mind looking at it, you know.
Very well.
Good to keep your options.
Well, I've brought a few other personal things of my creation with me. Miss, and he gestures to you, Lucian, you may wish to see some of this as well if my book does not catch your fancy.
It does, but I'll have it look anyways.
I have no use for the book.
Digging around in the crate, seeming a little bit less organized and more scattered than his siblings, pulls a small yellow-tinted corked bottle with an elvish inscription along the base. He gives a smile and gives a very, very light, delicate shake to the bottle, and all of you on the patio can immediately hear a bit of an unconventional weapon, but we simply call it the bee bomb. Within this bottle is a perfectly trained, I assure you, swarm of stinging insects that, if released, will assail your enemies at your command before returning to the hive, which is this bottle. And if you're careful enough, he gently uncorks the bottle and begins to pour as honey begins to pool on the ground in front of him.
And does this honey have anything of use?
As far as my siblings and I are aware, it's not magical, but it is free honey.
It's tasty too. Honey, have you ever had honey, Zephyr? It's so good.
Couldn't say I have, but
You're missing out.
I don't really have much use of this honey. And frankly, I could see some use, but it's a little loud for my taste. I like being unnoticed.
Well, let's
I
see
like
here.
these. That's cool and stuff, but I like the book better.
He reaches in. Well, I didn't come prepared for a market display, but let me see here. He pulls free a small, what appears to be a metallic ball about the size of a basketball, but he tosses it into the air, and a robotic eye, not too dissimilar to the security droids that patrol the streets of Edict, opens up, and the ball begins to float as the eye looks around before settling on the elf who threw it. If you ever find yourself needing someone to watch your back, this sentry can keep an eye on an environment for you and give you a warning if anyone who's not supposed to be there comes within the vicinity.
It's Gara's third eye.
You can just the alarm spell.
Yes. This is basically a controllable alarm spell with some slight mechanical differences, but alarm nonetheless.
But I also want that. I think I'm gonna go for the book though.
Very well.
You can
The
always buy
pearl
it
in the
for real
book
money.
for
For
you.
this, you know,
Of course. As I said, I tried to curate to each of your personal tastes along with my siblings. Very well.
how
Pearl
much would the century be, hypothetically?
He kind of raises an eyebrow, and this is a rather rare and unique one. Assembled it from some leftover things we managed to salvage from Reaper territory. This will run you about surface currency 500 gold.
I mean, surface currency is the same thing as normal currency. Their currency.
I have my last goal to 8 wins, so unfortunately I'm going to have to pass unless somebody else can pay for it.
Is Lucy?
Here, she gave her money to get.
Oh yeah, she did
He-
buy the.
Gil will step forward, pull out his flame-tongued longsword, and his 132 gold, and will these together cover it?
He glances to the flame tongue and looks to the arms dealer sibling, who kind of looks over the flame tongue one more time and gives him a nod. Yes. He glances to the mother. Yes, with those two combined, that would indeed cover the extra expense. He holds out his hand, and the droid balls back up and lands in his palm, and he holds out his hand.
I will trade him the sword and the gold, and then pass the droid to Lucian.
All right. It answers to chime, if that means anything to you.
Wait a second.
What?
Waiting.
I'm writing
Understood.
that down. Hang on.
Find some kind of like little robot in that dungeon.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Is it still around?
You last remember it being placed in the bag of holding, which, as a construct, it would not suffer the inability to breathe. So it's currently in the bag of holding, along with the other items you picked up.
That.
Yeah, no, it's in the bag of holding with the unidentified items you picked up in the dungeon.
So, Matt, out of curiosity, does the goggles need materials?
Does it need material components to do what it does?
Yes.
No.
Okay, cool.
But it can only do it a limited amount of times in a day.
Yeah, I mean, that's how normal one would do, but I think
Yeah.
oh no.
Lucien will hold the little droid in her hand, and she'll smile at Gil. And thank you, Gil. And she'll look at the little droid. Привет, Ferizon. That's Russian for chime.
All right. And as you say that, the droid immediately rises again and turns its robotic eye a bluish color towards you.
Does that mean you're back in debt with Gil?
I give it a stretch.
She
it
was
kinda,
never out of debt.
the droid whistles happily as Zephyr, you and Gil have this exchange, and the sister taps you on the shoulder, Zephyr. Well, it appears that just leaves you. You're still free to take the stealth armor, but perhaps my oldest brother, and she gestures to the arms dealer who gives a wave, could interest you in something a bit more direct if stealth no longer interests you.
Stealth, I am a person of bird, staying in the shadows. It's just more or less was checking out my options of what you guys have, and well, I prefer not to have the whole cell power, but you mentioned it was solar. Otherwise, I would have outright refused this armor. But
We do our best to please. Yes, I deal only in the best, as I said.
but as far as long as it serves its purpose, I will take the armor.
Very well. Would you like a paint job similar to your brother, or are you happy with it as is?
I'm happy with this. It's suffice.
Very well. I believe that's everyone covered. So, as the items are packed away, the siblings all giving bows to each of you, the mother slithers forward as Raccoon steps forward, seeming a little kind of indignant. I didn't get to pick. And you see the mechanical coils of the mother wrap around Raccoon and start to gently pull her towards her. Yes, about that. The stinger on the tip of her tail gently scratches along Raccoon's scalp. I'm trusting you all with some of the best equipment I have to offer, with only your word that the job will be done. So, I think it's only fair that I keep a little bit of collateral. And the stinger drags along the base of Raccoon's neck. If I lose contact with my driver who will be traveling with you, or if I get word that you betrayed me, I will kill her. And her coils around Raccoon tighten.
Oh, damn.
Interesting.
Gil's eyes will darken.
She gives a smile.
It is understandable that our word is not enough. But for someone of your power, is a hostage necessary?
She gives a bit of a smile. Oh, it's far, far more than a hostage, dear. She kind of tightens her grip on Raccoon again and starts to gently scratch her nails through Raccoon's hair. I understand it that your friend here has unfinished business with the brokers, a deal that I would be more than happy to compensate her for, if you all don't get her killed first.
And once we're done with our part, how do we get her back?
Oh yeah, we're gonna come back. I'm planning to come back.
She gives a bit of a smirk. You could return for her, if that's your intent, or I'd be more than happy to release her, with her debt to the brokers paid, and she will be free to catch up with you on her own.
You expect that little girl to travel all by herself? A little defenseless little girl, really?
I saw the footage, Miss Alefakir, nor am I an idiot. She's by no means defenseless.
Yeah.
Fine, but be warned, and this is no idle threat. Should she be harmed and we keep up our side of the deal, we will get our vengeance.
Oh, damn. Oh, damn.
I'm sure you will, Gil.
Fair is fair. What did you believe? Or what did you agree?
Seeing as I'm your mother, I think I get to be as unfair as I like. But I think your terms are, let's call them, agreeable. Rest assured, I have no intention of harming her. I just simply need assurance that my job will be done properly, and your relationships with the crime families of the city have caught my interest. And I'd hate for a source of entertainment to be thrown away so easily. And she gently runs her stinger through Raccoon's hair. And if it makes you feel any better, I'll arm her to the teeth for her journey to catch up with you in the event that you succeed.
So be it.
I'm so surprised.
She gives a smile and with a wide motion of her coils, Raccoon is thrown into the arms of the arms-dealing elf, who immediately picks her up, her kind of struggling slightly before simply going limp and kind of shaking her head a bit ruefully, glaring at the mother, who simply gives her a smirk in return. The girl will stay with me. The rest of you have 2 days left in the city, and then you'll be given your equipment fit to your specifications, and you will start on my job. The driver will meet you on the day, and I'll wish you the best of luck.
I have a question about the job.
Yes.
Where do you want us to start? Because you never specified where you last saw your shipment go. So I would like to know where to start.
My driver knows the way and will escort you there personally. I can't just be telling you the routes I send my shipments and have some of you, and her eyes kind of rake over to Zephyr, sending word to all of my enemies in the city. But once you're out of the city, it's no longer any of my concern.
Very well.
Very well. I will meet you all here in 2 days. Take your time to organize your affairs. And she looks to you again, Zephyr. Consider this a gift of leniency. I understand you all may have final favors and arrangements to make, but rest assured, if you make a move to betray me, Raccoon kind of gives a as the arms-dealing elf tightens his grip on her.
Well,
Raccoon, I will be back for you.
Shield perfect.
I know. It's okay. I still need to get my question from the brokers. Well, if we have a deal, I'll see you in 2 days.
Understood.
You all know the way out of the club, although feel free to partake in the food and drink.
No.
I'd rather not get addicted to something before I leave.
A shame. Come along, miss. And she coils back around Raccoon. I think it's time we show you to your new living quarters. Chauffeur? The cigar-smoking elf nervously steps forward and gives a nod. Come on.
I'm actually gonna go down to the club.
Hmm.
Go down to what?
I'm gonna go down to the club.
Okay. So, you all you finalize your deal that you've made with the mother in exchange for customized and powerful equipment for the journey ahead. You have agreed, with Raccoon's life hanging in the balance, to head to the Ergos Republic and put a stop to whatever's been threatening the mother's shipments. Lucian, you make your way down to the nightclub as the chauffeur begins to usher all of you down the stairs. Your goblin bard no longer
And I
traveling
will
with you for
follow
the time being.
Lucian by the way.
All right.
Oh, no, you don't. You are not going to ruin my night.
Someone's got to keep an eye on you.
What?
You are not my father. We have gone through this several times. You are not in charge of me. You are not my father. You're not my brother. You are my, I don't know, accomplice, companion. I don't know what you are yet. But you are not in charge of me. I am in charge of me.
I am well aware of that. But I'm keeping an eye on the people around you, not you.
Well, that does not mean that you get to tie me up again
I
if
will
I
not.
decide to.
I will not. You have my word.
Do not trust you.
Besides, I don't have any rope on me anymore.
So, as the elves take to the club and the rest of you stand at the base of the stairs, wondering what to do next with your goblin no longer with you, that is where we're going to end tonight's session. And where we will reach the conclusion of the arc of you guys' travels through Edict.
Travels through Edict.
Yeah, fair enough. We will be taking a break next week to start making preparations for the next arc, making sure everyone has their new custom items on D&D Beyond, making sure I have the new storyline planned out. Your bard is now the token for hostage negotiations with the mother, and you all make the final preparations to start traveling to the Ergos Republic to take this to do this favor for the mother and possibly get a shot at taking out one of your enemies in the Scar Concord. So we will be taking next week off to do some setup, but we will be back the week after next with a new arc beginning of the group heading to Ergos. Please check out our website at officiald5hub.info. Check out our link in chat that'll be posted shortly for our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. And support our episodes posted on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our Hostage Bards Twitch channel, twitch.tv/sippipings. 3 Ps in total. Good luck figuring out where they are. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Thanks all of you so much for playing, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.